You got a betta fish and you're looking to feed it the best of the best food out there. Today we will be talking about my top 5 favorite betta fish foods that I personally recommend you try out. What is going on, guys? Harry here from Farm Aquatics. It's very important to feed different types and compositions of foods for your betta. Here I'll give you a list of 5, but I recommend you actually mix and match and potentially try all 5 so that you can alternate throughout the week. All 5 of these I've actually used in my personal experience, paid for these foods with my own money, and have tested out a lot of bad food outside of this list. And none of this is sponsored. On top of that, I use all of these in my guppy tanks and shrimp tanks as well. If you do end up wanting to try anything on this list, I'll link them down in the description. First up to the plate, fluval bug bites. In terms of the pros, I've been using these since the beginning of my betta fish journey. It's highly recommended pretty much across the board by fish keepers. It doesn't cloud the water, and I've yet to have a betta who hasn't been crazy about it. It has a high protein content at 45% and fortified with essential vitamins, amino acids, and minerals. There are no artificial fillers, colors, or preservatives. First ingredient is black soldier fly larvae, and second is salmon. The fly larvae is probably why bettas can't get enough of this stuff. Bettas are in fact carnivores, more specifically insectivores. This ingredient most aligns with that fact. I also like the packaging that it comes in, specifically the one made for bettas, because you could easily sprinkle it into the tank. It's actually very convenient. No need for tools, unscrewing a cap or anything, or pinching a portion with your fingers. You just pop up the cap and you dash it in. Interesting fact is that the fly larvae is sustainably sourced. I have no idea what that means exactly, but cool. Fluval bug bites do come in various sizes. Bettas can probably get away with both the microgranule type and the granule type. In terms of cons, when you get the microgranule formulation, the bug bites vary in size. Some actually are that microgranule size, but there are also a lot of smaller powder-like pieces sprinkled in. These powder-like granules can be easily missed by the betta and just sink to the bottom of the tank into oblivion. Another note is that these are not floating. They're classified as slow sinking. Ideally with a betta fish food, it would stay at the top of the water column for say 10 to 20 seconds before sinking to the bottom. But with these, it only takes a few seconds before they begin sinking. On the bright side, the granules do in fact sink slowly enough for bettas to chase it down. Highly recommend you try these out, but don't take my word for it. Here are 2 Amazon reviews. I bought these after my elderly and picky betta stopped eating his omega-1 betta buffet pellets, which he had been eating for over a year with no problems. He loves these and eats like a maniac now. When you drop them in the water, they spin around a little almost like a bug would. He refuses to eat the super small crumbs, which I stated earlier, so there is significantly more waste than the omega-1 pellets. Kimberly mentions, I first bought some pellet food that was recommended by the Facebook group I'm in. They also recommended these, but I went with pellets first. Well, the betta just wasn't eating the pellets much. They'd float and get yucky, so I tried these and he loves them. I use one shake a couple of times per day, and the betta seems to eat it all. There you have it, fluval bug bites. Try them out. Number 2 on the list, Northfin Betta Bits. I've been using these for over a year now. Northfin Betta Bits are specifically formulated for betta fish. Pros. Here's the ingredient breakdown on the screen. First couple of ingredients are whole Antarctic krill, herring, and whole sardine. Quality of protein is top notch. There are no fillers, hormones, or artificial colors, similar to that of fluval bug bites. In addition to having high quality protein, the amount of protein is also pretty solid. At 45% protein, you are in a great place for your bettas. Unlike fluval bug bites, however, these are pellets which enable you to easily control proportions and set up consistent diets for your bettas. Pellets also minimize waste due to the compactness. I've never had an issue where these pellets were too big. Fluval bug bites, as we mentioned, were a bit inconsistent in sizing of the microgranules, but with these betta bits, every pellet is pretty uniformly sized. Cons. These pellets still sink relatively quickly, not as quick as the bug bites, but still not as long as I'd hoped for in a pellet. The workaround is to simply feed 1 to 2 pellets at a time as your betta gobbles them up. One general con with pellets is that they are known to expand. Do not overfeed these in order to avoid constipation issues in the GI tract of your bettas. How many pellets should you feed a day, you ask? Check out my description for a video that answers this exact question. Let's dive into some Amazon reviews for good measure. Got this before purchasing my Betta because I'd read good things about the product on a blog. My Galaxy Koi Betta's colors are so much more vibrant now than when he came home. He's healthy and happy, and I know he's getting nutritious food. Our pal Heather mentions, it took me forever to find a pellet food for my Betta that did not contain any fillers/fish meal. I can confirm, as others have stated, that these pellets do not float for long, which I also stated, but my Betta loves the taste so much she's willing to catch them as they drift to the bottom of the tank. So I personally don't consider that a negative. If you have a Betta who prefers eating from the top, I recommend dropping the food over a Betta hammock. That way the pellets can drop into the leaf and they could pick them off from there. That's actually a really good tip. I never thought of that myself. Northfin Betta Bits, possibly my #1 on this entire list. Now on to the next one, Extreme Krill Flakes. In terms of pros, krill is not only a great first ingredient, but it does wonders for coloration in your fish. Extreme's flakes are also fortified with necessary micronutrients as shown on screen. If you want your Betta fish's colors to really pop and be vibrant, add this to the regimen because krill is known to have natural color enhancing properties. Unlike the first two on the list, this comes in the form of a flake. An advantage of flakes is that this gives you the flexibility of altering the size of the food based on your needs. So flakes are really good if you keep other fish outside of just Bettas. Extreme also mentions the krill is sustainably harvested. Again, no idea what that actually means, but it has to be good, I think. On to the cons. Flakes in general can cloud water easily. Extreme claims that their formulation specifically combats this issue, and in my experience, I haven't really had these specific flakes impact visual water quality because I never feed more than what can be consumed instantly. Another drawback to flakes is that controlling portions is harder than with pellets. In terms of protein composition, it's at about 38%, which is the lowest on this entire list. With that, I suggest you not use this as the main source of food. Have this supplement other foods on this list. Amazon review time. Gave it to my Betta males, Danios, Gourami, Angel Guppies, Mollies, Neon, Tetra, Glow Tetra. They ate it right up. Nice color, no strong smell. Flakes are a little big, ground in pestle and mortar for ease of feeding so many tanks. Hey, shout out the pestle and mortar. For all you pharmacists, if you know, you know. Next up, Jimbo keeps it short and sweet, not disappointed, worth the hype so far, and the flake size is good too. Hardly any crumbs. Fourth on the list, Ultra Fish Betta Pro Shrimp Patties. Now that was a mouthful. This is the new kid on the block and the first time I'm mentioning this brand on this channel. These were launched a little under a year ago and blew up on Amazon. Bought them on my own volition, tested them for a couple months. The Northfin Betta Bits may have a worthy contender. Pros. They claim 50% protein in terms of composition, which is the highest on this list thus far, with the bug bites and Betta Bits at 45%. Main sources of proteins are also up to par, sword prawns and akiyami paste shrimps. The company classifies this food as a patty, but it's essentially a pellet like the Northfin Betta Bits, and thus has similar benefits of controllable portions, less waste, cleaner water. The pellets, or should I say patties, are pretty consistent in sizing, which is a plus at around 1.5 millimeters each. Now onto the cons. These definitely sink quicker than the Northfin Betta Bits. Again, the workaround is feed 1 or 2 at a time and continue to add more as your Betta gobbles them up. Other than that, can't really point out any other issues. Amazon reviews are as follows. Very high quality food with ingredients that are often left out of other Betta specific foods. It has garlic in it, which builds your Betta's immune system, and it's high in protein. My Betta immediately loved it when it was introduced to him. His colors are even more vibrant and he is growing fast. The pellets are very small and float. My Betta was young and small when I first started using this food and he did not struggle with the size. I like that you can use the shaker top or you can remove it. I took the top off and I used a Betta feeding spoon. Review number 2 by Nikki states, my baby Blue, I think that's the name of her Betta, has had severe constipation since we rescued him from our cousin. Not only has he been regular with this food, but he has way more energy and is more vibrant, had a growth spurt, and his fins are getting long and voluptuous. Heart eye emoji. He was originally on bug bites and it helped a little, but this food is the real deal. He looks more vibrant and even grew a bigger beard. Man, maybe I should try out these patties. Do your baby a favor and get them this food. Heart emoji, fish emoji. I wouldn't be surprised if these take up more traction in the hobby. Get ahead of the curve, try them out. Last on the list, Tetra freeze-dried bloodworms. Pros are that bloodworms provide as a high quality snack to any regimen. Like the patties, these bloodworms are at about 50% protein, which fits in line with beta needs since they're insectivores, as we stated earlier. A good alternative would be frozen bloodworms, and you could get these at any fish store. Just look for the giant freezer in the back. All in all, bloodworms are a great way to switch up and alternate between feeding options. Lastly, the cons. Similar to the krill fish flakes, I wouldn't recommend this being your only source of food that you give your bettas. If you only feed this, you can potentially create deficiencies with your bettas long term, since this isn't fortified with any micronutrients. Bloodworms should really only be meant to supplement your other foods. I'd recommend adding this to your feeding regimen about 2 to 3 times a week max. I'll keep it to one Amazon review this time since this one is pretty lengthy. My 12-year-old son wanted a fish tank, so we purchased a 2.5-gallon fish tank with a betta fish. Could be a little bit bigger. He initially purchased betta pellets, but for some reason his fish wasn't eating it. They probably weren't Northland betta bits. He did some more research and found out that freeze-dried bloodworms are good for them as a treat, in addition to regular flake food, so we purchased this to supplement the regular diet. End of review. Bada bing, bada boom. There you have it, my top 5 recommended betta fish foods that you should try. Again, I'll link all 5 down below in the description. Feel free to use those links if you do want to support the channel. If this video brought any value, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, comment down below what your favorite betta fish foods are. Anyway, I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.